Tight ends, we're talking how to scout them. And suppose NFL teams have not had the greatest track record in identifying talent in round one. Kyle Pitts over Jamar Chase comes to mind a little bit in retrospect, not to rub it into Atlanta Falcons fans. But I do think they tend to overrate the impact of tight ends. And you see it a lot. It's not a position that until very recently has made big impacts as rookies. They get asked to do a lot of things. They have to be a full-time wide receiver and a full-time run blocker. And sometimes in pass protection, you have to do a ton and know the game inside and out. That it's one of the harder positions to scout. So I'm going to ask you first, what are the main traits you look for when projecting these guys from, I guess, high school to college and then college to the NFL?
Sure. So like for us specifically, high school to college, you got to realize some positions, because it like demands a bigger body with coordination, they're going to be later developing.
Yes.
Right. A lot of times these best tight ends are guys who were not studs in high school. They generally didn't suck. Like they were good players, but they weren't always great players. They weren't always standouts. So I think for us, evaluating the senior film on tight ends is really important. I think that also kind of continues. It's like a big man in basketball as opposed to a smaller guy. Some guys just get that coordination a little bit later. You know, when you're watching it, I like to watch the L drill. I like to watch the 3-cone. Anything that requires these guys to get moving fast, stop, and move again, because it really still is for the most part like a short area position. I think that is really important. I think where we miss sometimes is the guys that pop off these huge 40s. They look real pretty doing it. They catch the ball on these go routes, but yet maybe they don't have great contested catchability. Again, the ability to play in compressed space, I think, is very important for most tight ends. Like some of your freaks are going to be your freaks, and they can play everything. But you know, if you want to like go past tight end too, you got to find the guys who can actually play and do some of the dirty work. And then there are certain positions at which I'm more willing to tolerate a guy who maybe is not super bright. Tight end, I think, because you have to understand all the pass stuff and all the blocking stuff. You need a guy who has good football intelligence.
Mm-hmm. I feel like tight ends from high school to college, it's often like high schools don't put their best athlete at tight end.
Right.
You know, like those guys are playing quarterback, they're playing like defensive line, they're playing other places. Kind of like the best guards in the NFL. A lot of times they're college tackles because you're putting your best offensive lineman at a more impactful position. The biggest thing I look for college to the NFL, there's like a kind of a combination of two traits. One's burst. You got to have, that's like when you see guys jump well, that's burst in my opinion. It's like you got to have that short area, just ability to one step go. Because a lot of times, you know, the 40's great, but a lot of your routes are, you know, that you're actually breaking off routes don't require speed. You're not going down the football field nearly as much as a wide receiver is. But speed can help. You know, a lot of overs, crossers, things of that nature, seams, speed's basically the main trait there. But burst, I think, is more important. And then fluidity. I love to watch tight ends with the ball in their hands. If you're going to watch one aspect of a tight end's game, in my opinion, to project to the next level, obviously you shouldn't just watch one. You should watch all of them. But you should watch how they fare with the ball in their hands, because that speaks to just an innate, one, just how they feel for the game of football and just like how physical are they. Because the ones that, like you watch Tyler Warren, he's delivering the boom. You watch George Kittle, they're delivering the pain. That's like what you want at tight end, because that translates then to the run game and how they impact there. But then just how they move in space when they have to navigate multiple different things. The guys that have it break tackles at a high level, make guys miss at a high level, are good after the catch. The guys that sort of don't live up to it, I go back to someone like Mike Gesicki. Sure. Incredible tester, incredible athlete. You watch him with the ball in his hands and you're like, he's kind of, well, you never see that incredible athlete. Right. You know, you never see that incredible tester. And then lo and behold, gets drafted highly, goes to the NFL, and just like never quite has that impact that you want for a guy that ran like a 4.5 with a 40+ inch vertical. It's like, it just doesn't quite make sense. But it's that kind of shows your athletic limitation. So that's where I go for the tight end position.
I like that. Like if you look at Tyler Warren, obviously the fact that Penn State is putting him in the Wildcat. Yeah. Like of all the athletes on that team, they're choosing, they want him with the ball in his hands.
Yes.
Like that says a lot.
It really does. And again, if the tight ends that get featured, you should feel pretty good about, because there's a reason they're getting featured at the collegiate level.